Oh yeah.
Back on four wheels.
Four wheels, that's right.
Yeah.
Excited. This is
One of the OGs.
definitely one of the OGs. Reading about him. Yeah, lived quite the life. I mean, he's still living now, but
There you go. And we're back at the Sports Experience Podcast. I'm Chris Quinn with my co-host, Dom DiTolla. And we're just a couple of comics here talking sports. And who we got today?
we got Tony Alva today. Our second skateboarding episode.
Yeah, but really one of the most influential skateboarders. And that's kind of where we've gone. We had Rodney Mullen, but he was the class before him.
Yeah, pretty much. He was like the pioneer of skateboarding, and one of the group there in Santa Monica.
Yep.
But yeah, let's get into Tony Alva right now.
Yeah, give me his birth.
September 2nd, 1957. There in Santa Monica, California, where surfing was kind of a big thing.
Yeah, born to Dutch and Mexican parents, so he grew up just surfing.
Just
that's
beach
what,
kid, man.
Yeah,
Santa Monica Pier, everything like that down that way, and
that's what they were saying. That's what life was surfing. There really wasn't anything else. There wasn't skateboarding like we think of it today. There wasn't like these other things, really.
Yeah, you can thank Duke Kahanamoku for that.
Yeah,
bringing it to California, baby.
Hoping you would bring him up because that's my man.
Yeah. Godfather of surfing. But yeah, surfing's popular. It's like, what are you going to do today when the weather's perfect and, the ocean's right there? I don't know. Maybe go surfing.
So that's a great segue into this next. When the weather is awful and they can't surf, that's when they started skating. And it was so, like what they said was, when we would go out and skate, we were essentially trying to surf. And because
that aggressive style, because skateboarding necessarily wasn't aggressive from what I read at that point.
Well, it just hadn't broken off from surfing.
Yeah.
So it was still just like, they called it surf skating, and they had clay wheels. So they really couldn't like grip like they really needed to. So when they would go to a turn, it would almost like slide out.
Yeah, I've seen that. The wheels would just like kind of, discombobulate.
Yes.
As far as being on the board. And
they would get chips in them. They would it was really not a smart material. And then there's this absolutely great scene in the
Lords of Dogtown.
Dogtown with the
Joker.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger.
No, who's the comedian?
Mitch Hedberg. Mitch Hedberg, that's right.
And he comes in with these urethane wheels, and they all are like, they're all astonished, and he has the perfect quote where he says, "They grip."
Yeah.
And that's when it kind of changed. Skateboarding was like, oh, we can actually grip and do real
like
moves.
Turns. Do turns and tricks and everything like that. And, it's brilliant in a way, because I can imagine how frustrating it'd be going, down a hill or anything, and your wheels just give.
Yep.
Because nobody has Einstein their way into inventing something cool.
Well, Tony said that he liked skating back then, but when he was skating on clay wheels, it was dangerous. And this is somebody that was like going hard at everything, but he was like, it was not like you would do everything you needed to do and you would still like wipe out hard.
Yeah.
So that's why when urethane wheels came in, it was like it brought this kind of new era of skateboarding, and they ended up going to because at this point the Zephyr team is coming together, and there's three real main guys that kind of come out of this.
Yeah, 1972, Stacy Peralta and the other gentleman,
Jay Adams,
and
right. It'll all kind of come back. Jay Adams kind of just gets messed up in drugs, so he doesn't really have what these other guys do. But this is kind of this era where they show up and everybody's still like it's almost like figure skating.
Yeah,
that was right. It was the perfect. When somebody said that, I was like, oh, it really is. They tried to make it more like figure skating, where people wear like shiny clothes and do these like kind of like nice tricks,
and then Tanya Harding comes out of the woodwork and
it just wrecks Jay Adams' career.
It's just like, hey, Jay Adams, here's a bag of drugs.
But that was the thing, was the Zephyr team showed up. They were this completely different street style almost, and that's where you see like skateboarding start to change, because it was obvious they were so much better at this aggressive surf style.
Well, and they influenced the culture of everything behind it too. I think that was what was so interesting. Like you said, they tried to make it like figure skating, but it's like, no, you've created a skater culture and from this Santa Monica almost subculture type deal.
Yes, exactly. So this is when they really start to explode. So Zephyr kind of blows up right away. It doesn't, like, nobody really stays because there's no like contracts or anything like that. It was just it was a surf shop that said, "Hey, we should make some skateboards," and then they made a team. And so everybody kind of goes off in their own direction. Like Stacy gets his deal, and he gets kind of fed up with the company that he's working with because they're not making the boards the way that he wants them. Alva was the smartest and went out and said, like, "Hey, I'm doing my own company."
1977, Alva Skates.
And we're making the boards the way they should be made. And
better grip.
Better grip. And that was the big change, was like, oh, as like skateboarders, you're like, we could do this.
Yeah, I mean, just like the porn industry, it's all about how you grip it. That's what it is.
And he was out there fucking.
Oh,
that was the thing. Was like in that era, Stacy's boards weren't the top sellers. It was Alva, and that was the thing about Jay Adams too. Is he kept getting involved with like really shady ass people who would make really shitty boards, and then he wouldn't want anything to do with them and all that stuff. So we see actually all three of them have pretty much like the three trajectories, which is like Jay is like awful, Stacy's like the middle, and then Tony's like the one that everybody wants to emulate because he has
made the best decisions,
best boards, and he had the best image.
Not only the best image, I mean, he's also marketing shoes. He signed with Vans in 1974 because he was always wearing Vans.
And Vans is a Santa Monica company.
It is.
And he said, coming up, that's what you would wear. And he actually designs the first skate shoe.
Yeah.
Which is like...
off the wall. Yeah.
I can't, like, if you think about it, the only thing that accompanies really skateboards is shoes. And he was the first one to be like, let's do that.
Why not? They're like the Jordans.
So I want to talk about him in this era. So it's from like 74 to 77.
Yeah.
He's blowing up and becoming like a international star. And he meets up with this guy called Bunker Spectacles.
That just sounds like a very savory character.
He is a local surfer, and when I saw a thing, it said surfer/icon, and I said, fuck yeah, dude. He is Clark Gable's stepson.
No shit. Did not know that.
So he is just a guy who's in the LA party scene, and he brings Tony along in this LA party scene, and Tony said it was just like everything's flashy, everything's cocaine, everything's
fun.
It's the end of the 70s.
Oh, and you know, at the end of the 70s, there's no downside to cocaine, as we've discussed on our episodes.
Exactly.
No downside.
And this is where it kind of leads into the demise of the first incarnation of Alva Skates. Was, like you were saying, they started to get into making like fashion.
Yeah.
And the guy who was like in the finance department of their company was just like, the money going out was so crazy that like we were selling 100,000 boards a year.
Wow.
And losing money.
Oh my God.
So like, and this is where I want to say it because he's top of the world. He's the rock star. He's selling 100,000 boards a year. And then 79 comes around and skateboarding drops off so fast that nobody could see it coming, and nobody could do anything about it. No. So everybody lost, these big-ass guys lost all of the money they had because they were so invested.
Yeah, I mean, they put everything they had into it because it was the only life they'd known. It's not like they went to college or, had a career in mind. They were just like, no, this is what I've been doing since I was 10.
Exactly. So I want to go back, though, because I skipped over this. So there's this point where... because skating is, even after the urethane wheels, it's all flat ground and it's all like slalom.
Yeah.
That's what's popular.
But he gets in to be the pioneer of the vertical skating.
So there's a drought that happens in California, and they say that you can't fill your pools anymore.
Yeah.
It's the summer, and they go pool hunting because they figured out that they could skate pools, and they said they were so immediately ready to do it because it was like a surf break.
Hey everybody, just want to take a quick break to let you know that our Sports Experience podcast is brought to you by Engle Studio here, and they're here in Tucson for all your recording needs.
Can you imagine, though, that era, like, compared to now? Just like, hey, guys, do you want to just enter a stranger's backyard and skate in the pool? Like, not knowing if they're packing heat, you know, or anything from inside.
To double down on that, the pools were like half full. So they would enter a stranger's house, completely empty it of water, and then start skating. So somebody would go back and be like, that was filled with what's happening?
Yeah, right.
Like, it had to be so confusing. But this was 75, 76, where everybody started to pool skate.
Yeah.
And it was really this Zephyr team who had broken up. They weren't the Zephyr team, but they were all these Santa Monica kids who were out there pool skating.
It's like, I'm bored.
And there was this kid who had terminal cancer, and he was the Zephyr team's like #1 fan. And they found out that he was dying in like 77, and they let him... his dad like let him clear out their pool, and they let the Zephyr team come and skate there as much as they want, and they called it the Dog Bowl because it was Dogtown.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's where they said skateboarding kind of broke off. So like,
because there were those famous photographs taken.
well, you see, I think about it like with humanity when evolution happened. I don't care what you think about, what your personal thoughts are at home. I care that you hate the Cowboys. Back me on that.
We did not come from monkeys, Chris. No.
But this is the thing. Like, this is where skateboarding really broke off from surfing, and you can still see surfing in it. You know, you can still see
There's
thumbs.
the style of it, yeah.
But when Tony Alva, because everybody was going as fast as they could onto the coping, doing the grind, and there was this photographer, let me get his name real quick, because he said, Glenn Friedman said, I wasn't a photographer at the time. I just saw Tony Alva do this, and I said, that needs to be captured. So Tony goes up and does the first front side air ever. And he says, everybody said that it was so unbelievable because nobody in humanity had ever seen it.
Well, it's like almost when we talked about Rodney Mullen creating all of these new tricks.
Exactly.
And when you see something like that for the first time, your brain just goes like, what the fuck just happened?
Well, the photographer, Glenn Friedman, said he was at school the next day trying to explain it to his friends. And his friends were like, so he got out of the pool and then got back on his board and got in. Like, they couldn't just like comprehend what he had done because it was so amazing. And
Glenn, how many drugs did you do?
Exactly.
Like, I mean,
and that was the best thing about him capturing it, because he just goes, it was this. And then everybody was like, then that was the birth of vertical skating and the birth of the tricks. So before it was very much like, I can do a 360, I can turn, I can that kind of shit.
It was like basic kind of kitschy shit.
Yes.
You know?
And that's where I feel like it really started to break off from the thought of it being like, cheesy.
Yeah,
you know,
like
it really
land surfing.
Yes, it really landed it in the streets. Like, you have to do this in a pool. You have to. That's what all these photos kind of came out. It was really that evolution of skating. And what's really crazy and sad is it's right at the first real death of skating.
It is. It really is, which makes me really sad because you had built something and it's gone so quickly.
Well, another thing a lot of people said was they mismade skate parks. So nobody was going to skate parks, so they thought it was dead.
Oh,
and
shit.
The truth was they didn't create the brakes right, so they would just go to pools.
Oh, man.
So nobody was making skateboards. Like, you had to make your own skateboards in this.
You're just MacGyvering it in this era.
Yeah,
it sounds
in this 80, 81, 82 era. And then there's this kind of rebirth.
Yeah.
And it has to do with, and we kind of brought it up with the Bones Brigade.
Bones Brigade, yeah.
And Stacy Peralta, who went out and he saw what Tony Alva did, and Tony Alva had his own company, and he was like, I could do that. And that's when he started Pal Peralta.
Yeah,
which,
that's right.
I mean, there's still a company out there making boards. So,
which is awesome.
So that's what we see in this 82, 83 era. I thought it was interesting. I think it was Jeff Grosso who died last year, just a shout out. He said they were all skating in pools, and Tony Alva just kind of like showed up, and they were like, oh shit, there's Tony Alva. And then he made it known. He's like, I'm going to be back in this like competition scene.
Yeah, he's like the Godfather, basically. You know, he just comes right out of the woodwork. Yeah.
Well, that's this era, because he lost everything he had. The photographer I just talked about, Glenn Friedman, said in 81, 82, he knows for a fact that Tony Alva went to dental hygienist school he went to dental school to be a dental hygienist.
No fucking shit. Oh my God.
That's how the landscape of skating was. Nobody thought you could ever make money again. Nobody thought it was going to come back the way it was. So he was still skating all the time. And this is the quote that
dental hygienist.
I have 2 quotes from him. This is the quote that I absolutely love. He goes, "After 12 years of radical skating, I'm still out here pushing. I'm still out here I'll still be out here for another 12 years. So you guys better keep the energy flowing for the fun of it or else." And then he put "keep skating TA." And that was when he lost everything. And he made this statement in this magazine, like, "I'm still skating."
Yeah.
Are you? Like, that's what...
Skating's not dead, man.
Well, that's what the skating is really built on, is just like, we're not here to sell 100,000 boards. We're here to progress and have fun with each other.
We're here to create art, man.
Yeah. Well,
if you want to get hippie about it, but we're here to be creative, have a good time, maybe do a little cocaine. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, this is the backlash of him hanging out with Bunker and this. So in 82, 83, he decides to bring back Alva boards.
Yeah.
He goes to Christian Hosoi, who we might do an episode on.
Yeah, Christian Hosoi. Yeah, I read that. Yeah.
And Christian Hosoi had the #1 selling board. It was like the Rising Sun.
Uh-huh.
It was like a Japanese kind of thing because he was Asian, and it had all that. But he had the #1 selling board. Alva came up to him without a company. He said, "Hey, I'm restarting Alva boards. You're the only guy I want on my team." And he said yes.
Wow.
And people were like, "Why the fuck would you say yes? You're like, this is obviously a worse deal for you." And he just goes, "It's TA. I can't say no. I get to skate with TA every day."
That is some fucking clout right there.
And that's what it went. And this is what Christian Hosoi said was, he was just like, we would just go and like drop acid, and we had all these fucking board ideas, and it was just all crazy. And then unfortunately, Christian Hosoi gets all messed up on drugs, and that's a whole nother story. But I'm just saying, like, he had so much clout, like you said, that it was just like, it's TA. How are we not gonna skate with him?
He's riding polyurethane wheels for the first time. Like, I mean, he's that much of a legend.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, is like, he invented what Christian Hosoi was doing at that time. He was the vert champ. Him and Tony were battling, and he would just constantly be like, "I'm here because of what Tony Alva did."
Yeah.
Like, he laid the groundwork, and now I'm doing it. And that's when Tony started to get away from competition skating. Yeah. And he did what Stacy did, which was they pretty much created a team.
Yeah.
There were teams before, but they weren't built like this. It was like 8 random dudes stuck together. This was like with Bones Brigade. Bones Brigade was like, he wanted the guys with the biggest potential that he could see out there. The Alva Posse was like the guys that were fresh out the gutter. They were the
It sounds like a boy band.
Oh my God. They were the you should see some of the pictures. They're scary as shit. They were the bad boys of skating.
That's great.
And
man.
Luckily for skating, because the Bones Brigade looked like a bunch of pussies. I'm just going to say it.
They were the in sync.
Oh my God. And dude, the Alva Posse was Slayer, man. Like they looked straight up like they would wear leather. All of them had dreads except for one guy. And their thing was not winning competitions. One of the best quotes from one of the guys in the posse was, when I joined the Alva Posse, Tony was like, "Hey, I don't care if you win a single competition. If you need to show up and represent what we're about." Because that's what he understood from
it's a marketing thing.
The way he grew up, it was a marketing thing. It was a culture thing that he was building, and he really kept. So I feel like a lot of people wanted skateboarding to be off the streets and like out of the hands of the youth, if you will.
Yeah.
And he was just like, no, this needs to be kept into it.
Yeah, no, you need to keep it alive, because who's going to keep doing it? Fucking kids. Because eventually you get old and you can't skateboard anymore.
And this is so I feel like because of all the glitz and glamour shit from the first incarnation of the Alva. I feel like this is when he really gets into punk rock too.
Yeah, he's a musician. He's a bassist. Yeah.
And he really gets into that DIY, that what punk rock and skateboarding really just went hand in hand for so many years.
Oh, yeah.
Because it really is a manifestation of youth. And we see this kind of marriage, essentially.
What better way to express yourself than those two forms, you know?
And one of the better things was, I think it might have been Stacy or Jay saying, it was just like, you know, when Led Zeppelin and Hendrix was jamming in the skate park, we all jammed it. We were all down with it. But when punk came around, it was like it gave you a different energy. And it was like this music was made for the way that we skate.
Oh, like that's the way just music is in general, though. Like it's for different moods or different personalities, like where you're feeling a certain way. It's like it just feels right, you know? Punk rock just feels right when you're skating.
So he played in this band called the Scoundrels.
Scoundrels, yeah. With a Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Greg Hetson, if anybody's... but he really in this era is when he talks about really getting into hard drugs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, music, lots of that around, and I'm sure it's the 80s, so... And
they're printing a bunch of boards. So their board sales are going back up. And he said what their schedule was getting fucked up for 5 days straight, staying awake on coke and printing as much as they could and then sleeping for like 3 or 4 days and then doing it again.
Sounds like the Maradona treatment.
No, it 100% is. And he goes, after a couple of years of that, we were like fucking out of it. And
yeah,
that's what people were saying, because he's always kind of been on the back of skateboarding since he created the Alva posse, because they said he pretty much stopped going out because he was doing just like so much drugs and was so in the production side of it.
Yeah, he's kind of takes a step back and steps away to run the business and, you know, do hardcore shit.
Yep. And then skateboarding changes.
Yep.
So vertical skating gets out and it's street skating, and it's like the baggiest pants you can wear with the smallest wheels.
Oh, those
JNCOs. It's oh my god, it's the exact opposite of the skating that he's doing. Yeah. So because he's vert skating with giant wheels and with tight pants, man.
Yeah, you gotta wear those tight pants.
I like
show off the junk.
I like it. Yeah. And he says because his popularity wanes in this time, but he's still out there skating. But he said he really got into just constantly doing drugs, and this is I feel like he did drugs for like 20 years. Yeah. Because he was like, in the 90s, we were just doing like ecstasy and eating mushrooms and just smoking as much weed as we could. And it was just like, okay, because he was kind of alluding, it was just like, I didn't do coke anymore at that point. Yeah.
And I just replaced coke with other things.
Exactly. And you could just tell that it was waning on his friendships. So like Jeff Barrasso said he didn't want to hang out with him anymore. People were just like not interested in hanging out with him, because he had this personality, this attitude that he was the shit, that he was TA.
Get away with anything.
Yes. And he did for years. So.
I've always said drugs are fun, but too much drugs is not fun.
Oh, it ruins it. And it really did. So it's hard to even like comprehend what he could have been if he wasn't a druggie throughout the 80s, because his skating still was, especially his pool skating, was still at the top level.
Yeah, no, I mean, he can still kick it and do it, man.
And then, so in 2006, he got completely clean and sober.
Which is great.
This was when, so I think 2003 was when Stacy Peralta released his documentary on Z-Boy's Dogtown.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And then I think like the next year they had the motion picture, and he said the fame was crazy. Like it really...
It was it's still a popular movie.
Well, it really almost, it was like that. It was like an echo effect of what it was for him in the 80s. And he said he couldn't enjoy it whatsoever because he was so fucked up on alcohol and shit this. So that's why in 2006 he got clean and sober. And this is one of the best quotes from him. And I was telling you about this before. He said, if kids are going to copy me, they better be ready to suffer the consequences.
Oh, man.
And
that's some hard living right there.
Unfortunately, that kind of ties it in. Like, if you're going to try and follow his steps, most people wouldn't have survived.
He should have written like a how-to manual of what not to do.
Yeah, no shit. But that's the thing about skaters from this era was a lot of them were gutter punks. A lot of them came from nothing, and they really had like no thought that they were going to live to 40. No. So that was the era. And just a couple of things to put a bow on this. He's still 60 years old. I think he's like 63 or some shit.
Yeah. He's my mom's age.
He's still skating pools.
Oh, man.
So he's still out there just like ripping it. And
why isn't he on those like osteoporosis commercials right now?
Oh,
it's
my
like,
God.
I'm still skating in pools, bitches.
You got anything to end on this one?
No, man. I just really enjoyed it, dude.
All right. My last one, because I didn't know if you saw this one, and I love giving you a little facts. He's never broken a bone in his entire life.
You have got to be shitting me. Not even with the skating, but with the drugs too.
That was the other thing.
Oh my God.
Was they were saying they used to fucking eat shrooms and skate all the time.
Skating is hard enough. Dear God. Can't even imagine it.
Never broke a bone, and the godfather of modern skating.
Hell yes, Tony Alva.
Hey everybody, this is just a stock message at the end of every episode. We hope you enjoyed whatever athlete and or team that episode was about. Just want to say, give us a quick follow on all social media. We have a YouTube channel, the Sports Experience Podcast, and we're on Instagram, DiTolla Dominic, and myself, C. Quinn Comedy. So give us a follow all around. We're always recording right here at Engle Studio. Thank you all very much.